start off the day with two horses that are running in a Scurry in the colours of a very, very famous syndicate that have put a lot into racing in Zenobia and Move On Over.
Yeah, they're both pretty speedy at home. Look sort of early precocious sorts. But as you know, these Scurries are a lotto in my opinion. Just if you break well, you normally run well. If you don't, you struggle to catch up. So it's nice to see that there's a bit of speed. It's obviously coming from the Schnitzel side of things. It's always useful when a stallion starts off with a bit of speed. He's 2-year-olds.
Marvellous. Then what are you expecting from Magic Prince in the second?
Probably wants a bit further. Should be running on, at best, I guess, a place.
Forever Mine, probably at best on the inside track, but he ran a cracker last time out.
Yeah, he's fitting well. Not as well drawn, so it's always not easy to get to the position he likes to race at from an outside draw, but he's a fit horse.
Desert Miracle in the Merchants, touched off last time out. I'm sure with her third run under the belt now she'll be absolutely spot on.
Yeah, nice draw on the outside. Third run after a rest, as I've alluded to. She's not an easy filly to train. And I know will be better over more ground, but we're just limiting her to sprints at the moment. Fitting well, what can I say?
East Coast gave you the kind of run that was very inspiring in the Victory Moon, and he's coupled up with Union Square and Schumacher, a very, very strong hand, although the draws haven't been kind in some respect.
Yeah, kind in two respects, so not very kind for Schumacher. East Coast runs to a very high rating last time, according to the insider trading handicap ratings, that no one knows about, but everyone knows about. I think he runs to a 123. They were going to give him a 116, which made him higher than Charles Dickens and Cousin Casey. So we've clearly got some very good horses here in Gauteng. Maybe we need to think about asking the owners if they'd like to swap, seeing that we've got a better horse than Cousin Casey and Charles Dickens. But anyway, he's a nice horse, but it's a little on the sharp side, but he's a very nice horse. I thought Union Square ran very well last time.
Went down the worst going.
But yeah, so did the winner. But he's a horse that probably wants a classic Derby trip eventually. Schumacher obviously was a little interfered with, kicked on very, very well. He's a nice horse. We think he'd be a specialist miler. He seems to have a lot of speed. But there were a couple of horses that ran with him and behind him that were also a little bit unlucky if one looks at the replays. So he's got his work to do.
MKs Pride, clearly a very, very competitive horse in any distance, although you'd have to say that 7 furlongs to a mile probably is his best, but he's got so much heart, this guy.
Yeah, I was looking at his form. He has failed at 2000 at Turfentine, I think, twice. And in last year's Summer Cup day, he was running in the Merchants. This year's running in the Summer Cup. So there's a bit of a difference. He's a nice horse, but I think stretched at 2000 at Turfentine.
I had a friendly chat to Koos and Kwali, but he's not interested. He just wants to run in the Summer Cup, that's it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, why not? Because otherwise there's nothing else to run in.
Yeah. You have to wait for the King's Plate.
You've got to wait for the King's Plate. So he's probably going to need another run to bring him to a peak, because he's a horse too, I find, not straightforward to train.
All right, Sparkling Water, the Illa de Vittoria of the race, I have to say, because she just gets better and better. And I was speaking to Racing Post international journalist who's out here, and he was awestruck by her presence.
Yeah, she's a nice filly, and she's even a bigger, stronger filly today. But I mean, again, that's just genetics. We're looking at a Silvana filly that's just got better with each year. So, but that is just typical of Silvana.
And of course, it doesn't harm to have Espermonte in the pedigree. It would be such a fitting day, without getting emotional, for the Betway Summer Cup and Mary Slack.
Yeah, Andrew, we've had our fairy tale in Durban. We cherish that with the July. Whatever she does after that is a bonus. I think she could have a good year, given that she's really sort of muscled up and matured very, very nicely. She had a good rest at Maritzfontein. This is only her second run this season. She's got a campaign ahead of her. Garden Province Met back here again for the Champions Cup. So she's got a long road ahead of her, and she's not got a lot of miles on the clock. So we're looking forward to a nice season with her.
And then I had a very, very brief chat walking into the parade ring the other day with Muzi Geni, and he says he really, really doesn't think that he can beat Sparkling Water. But the bottom line is that Safe Passage is just this horse that continues to sneak under the radar and deliver 5-star performances.
Yeah, and he doesn't always give away a lot. If I look at him at 3, and now he's filled out. He's put on a bit of weight. He's grown slightly. He's definitely a heavier horse than he was at 3. Also another horse with a long season ahead of him. This is only the second run back. You know, we've got to be cognizant that we'd like him still around at the July this year. So he's going to run here. He'll be going to Cape Town next week with a couple to go Queen's Plate Met, come back here again, you know, similar sort of program as Sparkling Water. But he's in a good space. He had a good rest, running around the paddock after the July. I thought it was pretty important. He had a hard season with illness in between and whatever. So I think he's in a good space, even though he doesn't give away much.
And Aragosta, he's never far behind. Perhaps a little disappointing in his return to racing after KwaZulu-Natal, but I'm sure he's going to be spot on for Saturday.
Yeah, it's the same sort of thing. He's also only having one run back. He also had a month in the paddock. I think you can draw a line through his last run. It was ridiculous. He just ran into everything's backside, and he was all over the show. Maybe didn't enjoy the blinkers, tried them, didn't work. Another horse is in a pretty good space.
Can we put him in the quartet? Is he a lurker for the quartet?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the weights, he's handicapped to turn it around with Safe Passage. As is Red Saxon, as is Pyromaniac, there's a few of them. So on the Daily News run, where he was penalised pretty unfairly, in my opinion, given that the line horse that took us, the horse that did everything wrong in the race. So. But he's
Pomp and power, yeah?
He's also got a long season ahead of him.